Welcome to One Life, the podcast where we embrace the journey of living fully and intentionally in every area of life. My name is Matt Farnham, and while I don't have it all figured out, I'm walking this journey with you, convinced we don't have to choose between a thriving career and thriving relationships, health, and purpose. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. And together we'll explore how to create work-life harmony, reject the lies of comparison, steward our gifts, and embrace the life God desires for all of us. Welcome to One Life. This special episode is part of something we're calling Beyond the Grind, a look beyond the business, behind the curtain, if you will, talking with high-performing agents about stuff that does not always make it to the stage. Real talk about marriage, family, purpose, and more. Let's get into it. I hope you enjoy. Welcome to Beyond the Grind. Beyond the Grind is really just a conversation that I wanted to create. There's something I'm really passionate about, this idea of one life. And basically that idea is around why are we working so hard? A lot of realtors or entrepreneurs would probably not say it this way, but their life would exemplify the fact that they're choosing between the marriage and the career, the kids and the career, the real meaning and purpose and fulfillment in the career. And I really believe we can have it all. In Spring, our guest today, just is the epitome of that. She even says, you can have it all. You say that all the time on social media, right? And so we're going to
saying.
Absolutely. So we're going to unpack some of that today. Designing designing a business that fuels your life, not vice versa. So many other people, their business kind of runs their life, but we should design a life that actually, a business that gives us the life that we want. Sorry, I'm mixing up my words back and forth here, but so let me introduce Spring. Spring, first of all, thanks for being here. You guys know Spring as the one who's out front, on front stage, doing live events, coaching programs. She's got her own courses. She has her own retreats. I think your team sold 700 homes last year, something like that?
Yeah, just below it. Yeah.
Okay. So obviously we know Spring is a killer in the industry, but we want to peel back the curtain. So that's all the front stage stuff. This conversation is more back of house, right? So what's the real meaning behind all this hard work that you're doing? So we're going to get into that. So first of all, Spring, thank you for your vulnerability to have this conversation. A lot of folks aren't comfortable peeling back the curtain and letting us see kind of beyond the grind, right?
Yeah. Anytime. I feel like I'm an open book on social media. So here we go.
That's true. You really are. Cool. So again, guys, well, the One Life conversation and community is really around this idea that you can design a life and a business that are both thriving. You don't have to choose between the two. And Spring is the perfect example for us to unpack that with. So my goal is to create intentional conversations around this idea. This is just one example of that. And listen, sometimes we crush it in these areas, guys, if you're listening, where we are doing really great at home, the marriage, the family, the community, like all those things, health and vitality are firing on all cylinders, but sometimes we miss the mark, and that's okay as long as we're constantly striving to move the needle in all those areas, and Spring does that consistently. But even if we don't get it right, we can learn from that and we can always get better, right? So no matter how these conversations go, you'll realize that nobody's perfect, none of us are, but we're all just trying to be intentional of improving all these areas of our life. So again, Spring, welcome. I'll get started here. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Anytime. I'm grateful.
So first question for you to kind of set the stage. What does a truly meaningful day look like and feel like for you right now?
Oh gosh, that's a great one. My meaningful days, if I could, I love to work out. So if I exercise, I feel good. If I don't exercise, I'm chasing that exercise in my head all day. So working out, being purposeful about that. I also do love working, believe it or not. Some people do and some people don't. I actually find purpose. I like having these conversations. I like moving the needle. I like the challenge. So some of the work component, and then obviously connecting with my family. I have a blended family of five. We have one child left at home. She's 16. And so connecting with her and Brian on a daily is my number one. Obviously, I still talk to my other kids all the time, but right now that teenager at home, it's just fun. So at the end of the day, if I can work out, if I can have great quality conversations with them, if I can have the needle move forward on our organizations, then I feel like I'm winning.
Love it. Another
Super
question.
simple. I'm simple to make happy.
That's good. And I know you also prioritize date night. I see date nights on social media at least a couple times a week with you and Brian.
Yeah, we don't have a set date night.
Yeah.
Like we just go on a lot of dates. So I mean, like I said, we have the only child we have left at home is 16. And so 16 years old, you're not really wanting to hang out with your parents that often.
Right.
So we have a lot of time. But we travel a lot. And so it's actually interesting. Like we actually don't go on a lot of dates at home. One day Brenna came home, it was like Saturday night and we were just chilling. She's like, "Oh my gosh, you guys are so boring." And I was all, "Oh, if you only had any idea, this is like heaven because our lives are
Right.
like on the go so much, you
Yeah.
know?" So yes, Brian and I do spend a lot of time with each other. We do like make each other a priority, but we don't have a set like we have to go on a date this night or
Yeah.
whatever.
But you bring your daughter on trips with you. I mean, Cabo, she was with you. I know she's been with you a few times recently, right?
Yeah, try to take her wherever I can. Not that she wants to go, but yeah, so like I did take her to Cabo. I was like, it's going to be there a couple days. We're there for an EXP event. I think the mistake I made though, Matt, is like the night we went to dinner was great. A couple other nights we went to dinner and she just sat there like this is the most boring conversation of my life, you know, because it turned into all work.
Yeah.
I think in the future I will take her on a work vacation, but just make sure that I have a night that's carved out that there is no work conversation,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like there's yeah, you're taking her, but did I spend the time with her? So for example, we're going to Mexico for I have an inner circle coaching group. It's high level agents or team owners. And we go 3 times a year. We go one of the events is in Utah in the mountains. One's always in Mexico. So we're going to Xcaret at the beginning of June. And then we do a combined event with William Lamb in Scottsdale in October. My point of this is I'm taking Xcret's great, right? Like I'm going to take her there, but we need to make sure that we make that not that we're just taking her to take her, that we're making it a priority to spend the time with her. So
Or just set the expectation of why we're taking them. I just took my son to a Tom Ferry retreat in Orlando.
yeah,
But I was like, hey, you're going to see what it looks like to work. Like, we're going to network. You're going to see what building relationships looks like and how that can be fruitful in career.
I love that.
So
Yeah,
taking them there with purpose.
yeah, I think you did a great job at explaining. So this has been her life. She's gone to everything, so she gets it too. I think it's more for me. I'm taking you. Why am I taking you? Like, am I taking you because you could have fun in Mexico? Or is it my mom guilt and I don't want to leave you home? Like, what's the purpose of me bringing you along? And then setting that a proper expectation of like, hey, Mexico's better than being in Utah in March. And just so you know, this is going to be a lot of work conversation. Are you cool with it? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
I love the intentionality. So, question for you about this idea of success. So, when you started your career, most of us, when we start building our businesses, we have one idea of success. Now, fast forward to today, you have an incredible organization, tons of impact, tons of different, really revenue streams, and almost multiple businesses you're running.
Yeah.
What would you say was your original idea of what you would have thought success looked like, and how would you define it today, and how has that changed?
Oh man, are you kidding me? I am on like version 18.0 of Spring at this point in this career. What I originally thought I was getting into real estate because it was gonna be fun. And any of you guys on here, I think there's a chat section. Did you think real estate was gonna be fun and something totally different, right? So I thought it was gonna be fun, and it was, but it looked so different. So when I got into real estate, thought I would be a mom and it would be a part-time gig, and I'd make some extra money and be a provider to like a contributor to my household. Matt, I had no clue what it would turn into. But what happened was I got my first check and I was like, I went to cosmetology school. I'd never had $10,000 in my bank account ever. And got my real estate license when I was 23. And so that check hit and I was like addicted, you know? And so to answer your question, it started out as that what I thought it would be fun. I turned into a great solo career. Then when I started a team was just out of a little bit of pain and it was the next step. I had a small team forever and it didn't scale until I was like, why am I doing this? I'm literally we were kind of talking about this a little bit where you're like, okay, I've got to recruit and bring on people because I'd created almost like I don't want to say a prison for myself, but like purgatory in the sense of like yeah, it was a business, but it really was a job that I had a big overhead for, right? And so now it's scaled to massive and there's other pieces of it. It's always looked different and the reason why has always been different. Now the reason why is like we impact a lot of lives. And the lives we impact from coming in our organization or our coaching or whatnot is fulfilling. And real estate also impacts my life. Like the income is good for the good that it can do, and we use it for a lot of good. So what it started was like, oh, it was going to be a job and a little extra fun and whatever. And what it's turned into is like, wow, this is impactful and it's created a beautiful life for me and a beautiful life for so many people I love. And so the purpose around it is so different now than what it was. But I think that's how it always starts for most people.
So I thought I got to play golf every day and make a ton of money. So that's why I got my
Yeah,
license. And
right.
it's funny you mentioned that first check. I don't think I've ever said this to anybody other than my wife. We had a 3-ring binder where we'd photocopy the commission checks because it was like so cool. And then after, the first out of however many months, you're like, okay, this is lame. We're going to stop doing this.
Yeah,
But it's funny how it changes. And the book. Have you read 10X is easier than 2X?
yeah.
So
That's why
incredible book.
I'm at EXP, right?
Right.
Did you know
Totally
that
right.
story? Yeah, no, did you know that story? That's how I ended up making this decision.
I don't
Yeah.
know that. No, I actually unpack that for me just a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was being recruited and there was the whole conversations around they were signing enterprise agreements with Sisu and blah, blah, blah. But what ended up happening, there's a long piece of it, but I was training for the New York City Marathon and it kept on like lingering of like, is there something you're not considering? Da, da, da. Why are you not? And I told them no. This was October. I'm like, I don't need to be recruited. I don't need to be like I'm not going. Like, let's just end this conversation. And just for you guys that are listening, like I was at their competitor and had built a large organization. I was making 7 figures a year annually from revenue share. So that's like a to walk away and start over is who wants to do that, right?
Mhm.
But here's the thing: I was listening to 10x is easier than 2x when I was training for the marathon. And there's a chapter in there of the financial planner, chapter 2 or 3, where he talks about he built this huge book of business, but he is like, what am I not considering? Like, if I burned it down and I rebuilt over here, I could 10x what I'm making over time if I'm willing to burn it down. And I was like, what am I not considering? Like people would think I'm effing crazy, including myself, to burn this down. But what am I not considering? Because their models are different, right? The model is different of what the growth and how you can build, and international was a big part and the communities and stuff. And so I was like, oh my gosh, what if I just burn it down like he did and I start over and I build something 10 times bigger than what I could have done if I'm willing to take a step back, to take a step forward. So that book is literally like why I was like, all right, let's go.
That's awesome. And this is now we're going to not get into the book on this, but just to make a point, one of my biggest takeaways from that book for those listening to this is that 2X business, like Spring has built an incredible real estate sales business, high production, consistent, growth over time. I have too, praise God for that, not to the scale that Spring has, but what happens is when you build that type of business, now you've actually got the credibility to do maybe what you've actually been planned and purpose for. Like I believe God's created all of us for plan and purpose, and you would not be impacting the lives you're impacting today, Spring, if it wasn't for the 2X company, right? It gives you the platform, the credibility, the influence.
Yeah. Well, I tell everybody I am so grateful like for the 2X like I would not be Spring
Mhm.
without that company. Like the platform it provided, the infrastructure, the like you name it, like 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that company still. Like I'm a fan, I'm friends, like, but the platform was what was needed for me to go where I'm going to go next.
Yeah. Love it. Thanks for sharing. So you mentioned something a moment ago that actually teed up a perfect question I had for you is, many high achievers, they stay stuck trading time for money. But at
Hmm.
some point, it's this time and effort economy versus this idea of a results economy. But at some point, even though they know better too, but they'll stay in that rut, or you called it purgatory or something, like you're basically in prison. What
Hmm.
mindset or habits did you adopt to fully step into more of a results driven life where you're working for more freedom, not just more work for work, but freedom became the goal?
I think when I actually started feeling freedom is where it like, I think for a long time we get stuck in these businesses, especially in real estate, where we don't feel like we have the control, right? Like, especially when I feel like we have the control when you run these teams because you're relying on everybody else's productions and their life. Sometimes they have a great month and then they have an off month and they have a great month. And so your business has that. And so I think what for me, what ended up happening was I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I've got to go and grow this into truly a business to have this freedom because if not, the emotional roller coaster of it is terrible. So I wish I had a sexy answer of saying like a lot of it came out of pain, like me having to become the person capable of building something that would give me freedom.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
Totally.
So once I finally got the freedom for me comes with like my answer. People are saying, what is your why? And I'll say, I never want to say no to something I want to say yes to.
Mm, that's
So,
a
and
good
I never
why.
want, yeah, and I never want my family to have to say no to something they want to say yes to. So for me, it's like I want the freedom to be able to make those decisions. And so you're asking like when it started happening when I was like, okay, and now I'm like, all right, now I can't imagine not having freedom. But freedom comes with discipline. Freedom comes with doing the hard. Freedom comes with holding your standards. Freedom comes with doing the stuff we don't want to do. Like I was sharing with you before we popped on here, like my life has been insane the last 3 months. Like I woke up uh, the other day I flew to Charleston. So I flew from Salt Lake City, Utah and on Monday at 11, I landed in Charleston at 8 o'clock. So all day to get there. I keynoted for Unite that next morning, filmed a podcast, hopped back on a flight, came home, went on a date with my husband because I committed to all within 24 hours. And the next morning I woke up and I was like, what day is it? Like I am so tired. And it just is one of those things of doing the things sometimes you don't want to do to create the freedom that it ultimately comes to.
Right. I love it. So I want to shift to more like family legacy alignment, if we could. So, what legacy are you working to leave beyond just business and finances?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I know people put a lot of emphasis on business and finance and yes, my children and everybody will be fine, but it's actually not the legacy I want to lead. I don't it's never been like an intent. Now, if you ask my husband, he 100% is like, I want to have a family bank and I want to leave this legacy. And we did all these things. But for me, I want to be the chain breaker in my family. Like I intend to be the one who does the work emotionally, mentally, spiritually to create the I don't want to say the infrastructure, that's a business term, create the foundation for whatever healing that we're not passing on all the garbage. Do you know what I mean? That my children and their children can create these beautiful lives. And I know that sounds very woo-woo, but here's the thing. We are all one big giant ball of energy and we are all programmed. And this is where Matt, like the whole upgrade movement comes into. When I say we're programmed, is like your beliefs of who you are today is a mixture of past experiences as well as your belief system passed from your parents. And your parents' belief systems came from their parents and their parents and so forth. And so if you think about it, your belief system are things that came from people from hundreds of years ago. I know I'm going like people are like, what? But then when you think about it, your phone gets an update multiple times a month.
Mhm.
Literally an operating system update of like, let's go in and update this programming. When's the last time we went in and been like, what is not serving us anymore? We're gonna go drop this garbage in the trash and fill it with things we want. And so my legacy is I'm like, let's go remove, like, let's go stop the pattern of the negative relationships or the negative whatever and start like building on this beautiful foundation of like the the family dynamic and the children being like so loved and taken care of and all that jazz. So my husband can worry about the money. I'll create the life.
I love it. You know, we're all being formed by something. Whether you want to admit it or not, we are all being formed. So the
Yeah.
question is, are we passively being formed by letting the world just form us, over time, or are we, proactively being formed by something we are deciding what's forming us, right?
Well, and what I'm trying to say too is yes, exactly what you just said. And you were being formed like way before you even realized, like from day one, right? So a lot of the stuff that we have that we think and we believe in stuff are not our own beliefs. They're beliefs of other people that have been passed down to us. And so, or other people's, I hate to say traumas, but other people's experiences that then shape who we are, right? And so it's just that creation of like, no, you get to go create whatever it is. So showing my daughter she can have it all, like my mom has didn't show me that she could have it all, and that's not a derogatory thing, it's just a belief system, right? Her belief system was that it was different than mine, right? And so when I say, hey, I'm going to go in, like I'm going to show like you can truly have it all, and this is what the foundations of how you can get there.
Mm, I love it. How would you say entrepreneurship specifically has shaped your parenting?
Oh, I would say quite a bit. Like as much as I don't like, so I think entrepreneurship is beautiful. I actually don't believe like my kids need to go to college. I don't have a problem with kids too. Our older kids all went to college, but like I'm at that point where it's like I believe you can have it all. You can have anything, like if you're willing to have the grit. There's not a lack of resources out there, right? And I would rather bet on myself than bet on anybody else. And so we're really teaching our children like to go out and create and to have. So it's been really fun. Like um both of our, not both, I would say half of our kids, so we've got five. They're all like creating, like my little 19-year-old's creating a computer programming. Our other one's in real estate investing, like the other one's self-employed. Like they're all doing stuff of like going and creating and doing different things. And so I would say entrepreneurship is like the foundation of like who we are as a family. And just basically for me, it's like go take a bet on yourself.
Mm.
Why not? You know, like if you're not willing to bet on yourself, then who else is going to?
I think one of the best things we could teach our kids is how to create value, right? Because value creation is entrepreneurship, right? And if
Yeah,
you can create value, then you can bet on yourself.
right. It's true. Well,
So,
you get paid to the amount of money that you provide value, right? Your pay is in direct proportion to the amount of value you provide.
Jim Rohn, I love Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
He's the best. So, purpose, comparison, and identity, Spring. So, I don't know that I've met, and I'm still getting to know you, but I don't know that I've met somebody as committed to personal growth as you seem to be. Just constantly going somewhere, doing something, investing in yourself in some way. And you may have already touched on this, but what's one personal growth discipline that you think every entrepreneur should prioritize?
Well, here's the thing. It's funny you say that because I don't know that I even think of myself that way, but I guess it probably looks that way in the conversations I'm in, right? Um, you are your biggest asset. Like you are like the product. So if you're in real estate, you're the product. The home's not the product. You are the product, right? You are your biggest asset. Like who you become is how you're going to get paid, how you're going to feel, all those things. And so I guess it probably does feel like I spend a lot of time and money because I believe I am like if I'm worth it and if I put investment in myself, then the return is there, whether it's through money or soul freedom or financial freedom or time freedom. And that's the way that I look at it. So, what I would say about investing in personal development yourself is a lot of people will go and do the stuff, like go to the event or read the book, but they don't do the work. And I know it because that's been me. Like in the past, I've gone through the motions of what I should do and haven't done the work. So I would say go, if you're going to do it, first of all, do something that you really do want to actually execute and put in the work. And there's a lot of stuff that you can consume. So find out what's going to actually resonate with you, of like what piece of you want to work on, because working on all of it at one time is not necessarily. So there's been pieces times, Matt, that my relationships have been priority. Like that is right now, my relationship with my children is top priority, and my relationship with Brian. So that is where I'm spending like my energy. Like I'm learning how to be a better parent, which kind of seems silly because Brenna is my last one at home. Um, but it just hit me where I'm like, no, like I want to do the work now so that when they leave the house, that they want to be around us. They say the work that you put in when they're young is the relationship you're going to have when they're older. So I'm like, I want that relationship now so that when they get older. So that's a big thing. And then Brian, we've been married for 10 years and it's been great. Like I have the best husband on the planet. And I will say the last 10 years, we have been building businesses, both of us. He's a CEO and a founder, and I've been doing my thing. And so, yes, we've been beautiful marriage, but has it been the level that I think we both deserve? Probably not. And so, that's been our major focus over the last 9 months, and it's been awesome. So,
Love it. Ed Milet says you take you everywhere you go, right? So you're kind of alluding to that a moment ago. One thing I like to talk about a lot is actually from Dan Sullivan's teachings too, but he talks about protecting your confidence. But because we can't give away what we don't have, right? I can't be the best version of myself if I haven't taken care of my. It's not this self-care, self-help type mantra that
yeah,
I'm not talking about that, but if our life is an energy game, right? If we don't have the best of us available, we can't give that away.
right.
And on the marriage thing, I totally echo what you said. Leslie and I did our first ever 20 years of marriage. We just did our first marriage retreat a year ago. Can't believe it
Amazing.
took us that long. But that was my takeaway is by the grace of God, our marriage has been amazing, but how much better could it be with more intentionality, right? More awareness and open conversations and all those things. So love that stuff. Thank you for sharing. One thing I struggle with a lot, Spring, and I'm sure if anybody's being honest in our space, they will oftentimes struggle with comparison, right? We're in a very comparison world, performance culture, like all these things. How do you stay aligned to your purpose without getting distracted by looking over your shoulder at what he's doing and she's doing and everybody else?
You know what's been weird about me, Matt? Is I've never been that way. I
Really?
don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why. I just don't care. Like I've always been like, you run your race, I'll run mine. And I think it's because I've always known like you can never compare your insides to somebody else's outsides, right? And so yeah, I just have never cared. Like I've never cared about having to be number one. If I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love to be number one. Like I would hang my hat on it. But number one in what?
Hmm.
Like in this real estate space, okay, you might be selling the most homes, but are you making any money? Or you might have a bunch of volume, like you might have a bunch of units not making money. You might have a bunch of volume and you're not charging any splits. You might be not number one and you're living the best life yet. And so I just never have, I don't know why, I just have never cared because I just don't think everybody's running the same race. Does that make sense? Like
Totally.
there's plenty of teams that I'm watching and I'm like cheering them on, like, hell yeah, you are double the size of me. But I don't want to run that model. Like I want to have a higher margin and have a more robust than a lower margin and pumping out the units. Like it's just a personal choice. So um yeah, I just have never, and that's probably with me and everything. I've never had that like they've got this or that, or I just have never, it's just not my MO. So that's a not a bad answer, but I just have never had it in any capacity.
Oh, that's a
So
that's a great answer. It should inspire those that do struggle with it because the reality is we never have the whole story, right? And if you were to like map out and say, here's the three people I look up to in business, and then I said, tell me the three marriages you look up to, or the three examples of who's thriving with their children that you look up to, it's probably not going to be the same people on the list because we
right,
never have the whole story, right?
right. Yeah, and I guess I just again, I guess I've always looked at like life as everybody has their true behind the scenes. So cool, it might look great here, but maybe it's not there or whatnot. And so I just have never, even down to like material things where they talk about keeping up with the Joneses or whatever. It's just never been me. I just don't. I just run my own race, you know?
I like it. So, question for you. This is a personal question. So, step on your toes a little bit here. When you strip away all the titles, all the achievements, the stage, the keynotes, all the stuff that you're doing consistently, where does your identity come from today?
I have a very high self-esteem. And I say that as my identity, but here, let me give you context why. Um, I always have back to like, this is what I'll tell people as a parent. Like, my parents, I don't think that they realized that they did this, but they instilled so much confidence in me. Like, whether it was the words of affirmations or them investing so much time and energy, like I've always just had a really like high self sense of worth. Um, but even down like I think that it hit me when I was 20 years old, I was burned in a fire. And I won't get into all the details, but my body is 85% burnt. And I remember being in the burn unit and two things happening. One, I remember just telling my mom, being like, you're like super jogged out of your mind, you're in so much pain. And I remember telling my mom, being like, I don't care what my skin looks like just get me out of here. Like I just did not care. And it made me realize like how much of my self-worth was not tied into like how I look. Like I really did have a high self-worth, right? And then the other component of it, like in that burn unit, I had a friend come and see me. She's still one of my best friends, but I remember her like looking at me kind of in tears, and she's like, wow, not that she was grateful it happened to me, but she's like, if this would have happened to any of the rest of us, we would have wanted to die.
Mm.
And I was just like, what? Like, because for me, like I've just always had that. And so I think for me too, I would say my identity is that I am a beautiful, kind, loving soul. And I just really genuinely, um, I don't judge other people, so I don't think they're judging me. So it's like I just have a really high self-esteem. And even like where you're talking about the keynotes and stuff, Matt, I am not a keynote speaker. I'm a real estate agent who happens to willing to get on stage and tell you how I'm doing something. Like there have been so many times I've gotten off that stage and been like, oh, that was terrible. Or oh my gosh, I feel like I bombed it, or I could have changed this. And but then I just think about it, I'm like, at least I was willing to get up there and put in the reps. And as long as I know that I do the work, like my identity, my confidence and stuff comes from because I'm willing to put in the work. If I put in the work and it sucked, then I put in the work and it sucked and there's more work to do. I feel terrible if I don't do the work, then I know I didn't put in the effort to not make it suck. So that's a super long story of like my identity is pretty tied into like I just think I'm a good human. I'm kind, I'm loving, and I see the good in all things. And I have a super high self-worth and confidence.
Thank you for sharing some of your past story. I've heard more of that story before. It's very inspiring the
Yeah.
way that you obviously went through that and bounced back. And I guarantee you just inspired people with what you just shared. Um, I appreciate it. So another question for you is you lead a lot of people and in your organization and coaching in a lot of different ways. When you see somebody burning out, a lot of people, well, a lot of it comes back to identity, like their foundation's built on they're a successful realtor, for example, or you look at a football player, right? They stop playing football, now they don't know who they are anymore. So it might be that, but when you see somebody burning out, what's the real problem that you typically find, and what's the first thing you encourage them to do?
Yeah, I think it's taking a step back and finding out what has them burnt out. Because like when you're passionate about something that, I mean, think about when we first got into real estate and you're freaking copying your checks and putting them in the book, you weren't burnt out and you're probably working just as much, right? So I think finding out like what's behind the burnout. Are you lacking fulfillment at home? Are you feeling like you're doing all this work without the rewards? Are you not growing? Like what is truly causing the burnout and then fixing that core problem, right? Because it's usually not what their activities are. It's usually behind the emotions of what they're feeling behind the activities, right? So for example, I'm not on burnout mode and I totally could be on burnout mode. But I'm feeling a little like, wow, I'm like, there's a lot going on. I'm a little tired to be very candid with you, right? Um, but then I have to take a step back and be like, why? Like, are you having fun? or are you just not prioritizing? Like what has this, and then what shifts do I need to make it fun or prioritize or not have the burnout? So I think it's going back to the root problem of like what is it that's causing this emotionally? Because burnout's usually coming from emotions, not from a physical.
Yeah, totally. And I'm going to circle back to this question with the last one I'm going to ask you to kind of end it. But the two more questions for you, Spring. One would be, I told you you're one of the people I've seen most committed to personal growth. The other thing with the limited time I've been getting to know you is I don't know that I've seen anybody take massive action, like relentless massive action without, like seemingly without fear that you seem to do. And Mike Shum is a mutual friend of ours. Like I've known Mike for years. I love Mike. That's how he's always described you. Like she just like buckle up. She's gonna just go whether she hasn't figured it out yet or not. Where
Yeah.
does that like bold and audaciousness come from? And like how do you I envy that honestly, because I'm a paralysis analysis, right? I overthink everything. Where's that come from?
I think it's back to my core. Like, I have a really high self-worth and self-esteem. Like, Matt, what's going to happen if I fail?
You learn.
Yeah, like truly, like, what's going to happen?
But you say that like it's like common sense. Why would I not? But you're in the minority of
Yeah,
people who
yeah,
act that way.
yeah. I get what, but that's how I look at it. So let me give you context here. Um, I think it was a Tony Robbins event I went to years ago, and he talked about it. Like when you only have two options, you have a choice. A third, you don't have a choice. A third, there's an option. And so I always look at like what are the three things that are going to happen. So let's just even use my recent move to EXP. Okay, I could stay at Real and not change nothing. I could go to EXP and fail, or I could go to EXP and win. Those are my three options.
But
I'm not
option
going
two, some of us would camp out on option two for quite a while.
to, okay. But why would I think I would fail?
Fair question.
Like, I'm like, no, true, but here's let me like really walk you through this. So I had many people tell me I'm gonna fail, just so you know. When I was trying to make this decision, I had several people say to me, Spring, so and so has done it, so and so has done it. What makes you think you're gonna be any different? And you know what my answer was? I said, because I'm Spring. I'm not gonna fail. Like, I just truly am not going to fail. Like, it might look different, but like, I'm going to fail by not trying. And so, Matt, like, I don't know. I've been very like confident I'm going to do this, and I am. I don't have a vision of how it needs to play out. Like, I'm not attached to how it has to happen. I'm just attached to that it's going to happen. Does that make sense? So like I have a 1 year goal, a 3 year goal, and a 5 year goal, but at 1 year, if I am not there, I'm not gonna like lose my mind about it. I'm just gonna be like, okay, what needs to happen or pivot to make sure I get my 3 year goal. And at 3 year, if I'm not, then I'm like, okay, what needs to happen here? And so I guess I'm not attached to the outcome as much of just like, okay, as long as I get again, I surround myself with the right team because everything is about having the right humans,
Mhm.
right? If I have the right people and I believe in myself and I'm willing to do the work, then how can I fail?
You know, I'd like that you said, I have a good friend in my life now. He's part of my rooted group I lead, but he says the right traveling companions can take you anywhere you want to go.
Yeah. I have the best humans, Matt. Like, look at like, okay, so this EXP thing. I've got you. I've got Mike Shum. I've got William Lamb. I have another person behind the scenes that's coming that is huge. And then I have a few, oh, I've got Veronica. Like, and I have a few other key players that are like, yes, you're into this. I've got John Cheplack helping me.
Mhm.
I have the CEO of EXP who's cheering me on. Like if I can't do it with the army of people cheering me on and me doing the work, then nobody can do it. And that's how I look at everything. Same with the team. Like I can build this team with the right partners. Now, if it's just me, I can't build this team.
Right.
But if it's me with Justin and Chase and Stephanie, like then I can build the team.
Right. I love it. All right, last question for you. We'll wrap this up. So the idea of this beyond the grind, it really comes from this one life vision I'm very passionate about. But I think what a lot of us do, and part of my story is a lot of entrepreneurs, realtors, they compartmentalize their life, right? They have their business, they have their marriage, their family, their philanthropy, their faith, everything. You just name it. And what I've learned is this blurring the lines, like this collision of faith and purpose and family and everything fleshed out through the business, like in alignment. Because the burnout comes from spinning multiple plates and trying to compartmentalize all these things. So, what does living a life of that true harmony, that one life idea, for you look like? And what advice would you give to somebody who's trying to figure that out?
Yeah, I'm glad you actually asked that. It's funny, I don't think you know this, but I used to have a women's group called the Harmony Tribe. Because I don't believe in balance, I believe in harmony.
No, absolutely. Yep.
And so I believe that my job, my work, my career should be here to fund the life I want to live outside of it and vice versa, right? So I would say for me, it is I do create harmony. Like my life is my life. They're not compartmentalized.
Mhm.
So I work on vacation, but I travel a lot. I also I work a lot too, right? And then I also make the priorities of like we were talking about lists. My child went to Mexico. We went on this where you and I went to dinner there. I took him on vacation for work, and I also just have it all mixed. I work from home 95% of the time. Even though I own a commercial building, I'm actually in it today, 3 minutes away from my house. And so what I would say is live a life that you don't need to escape from,
Mm.
live a life that you don't need to compartmentalize, and just start blending it all. And when you go on vacation, go on vacation. But if it's like I got to work, time block it in the morning, get it done, and then go on vacation. If you are at home, get your work done so in that evening you can be present, but don't feel guilt if you have to work at night. Like last night, I had to pull up my computer and work at 10 o'clock till midnight. Like it's just part of it, right? But it creates the freedoms that you get outside of it. And so harmony, don't hold yourself like we put so much guilt on ourselves about stuff, and it's like there's not one way to do this life. The way to do this life is the life you want to live, not what everybody else thinks that your life should look like. And so I have people, I was on a call with somebody yesterday and they're like, your life looks so great until I actually hear you. And I was like, you're at the airport. And I'm like, yeah, but that might be painful to you, but it's not painful to me. Right. And so I just say you run your own race, you plan your life, you do you. And there's only one person who has to live your life, and it's you. So do what's going to make you happy, be fulfilled with your family, and the rest of it's irrelevant.
I love it. Make choices and own your choices, right? I think the mic drop moment was build a business, build a life that you don't need to escape from, right? That's it's that simple.
That's simple. Like
Yeah.
truly that truly simple. And I would say too, make your choice. So I always say make your choices and then make your choices right.
Mhm.
Meaning there's been a lot of choices I've made, as you've said, like I make a decision and I go.
Mhm.
Like because where I fell, Matt, is when I get an indecision.
Mhm.
Call it the mind F, the mind chatter. When I get the mind chatter of the indecision is where shiz is not good.
Yeah.
So like I'll make a decision and then I'll make the decision right. Meaning like we're gonna go with it and I'm gonna do what I need to do to make it be the right decision for me.
Yeah. I love
Right?
it. I think I'll make decisions based on what worked for Spring or what's right for Spring instead of what's right for Matt and Leslie and my family too. I think we all can be tempted to do that, but run your own race, right? Love it.
Yeah, yeah. And I made, I mean, I recently just made a big career decision that didn't necessarily affect a lot of people, but I had a lot of people that like it, they're in my world. And there were some people really upset with me, and other people like, dude, you got to make the decision that works for your family. Right.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, like, I love everybody I work with. I'm a fan, but at the end of the day, like I do this for my family.
Mhm.
And so the decision was the right decision for my core family. I was going to make it. So I think it's exactly right. You got to do what's good for you and for the people that matter the most. I'll end it at this. I took a training years ago through Matt Smith, does the whole GSD mode, right? And there was a thing he was talking about prospecting, and this gentleman who was fearful of making his calls. And Matt said, I want to give an analogy. And he said, I want you to think of the average funeral that you have gone to. And I want you to think about of that average funeral, 100 people maybe showed up. sink that in. 100 people at your funeral. And he said, and dependent upon the weather, 50% of them are going to show up if it's bad weather. You might have 50 people at your funeral. And he said, of those 50 people, you're going to have a front row of people that are crying, maybe 10 max. So you have 10 people at the end of your life that are going to be there crying. So why the F do you care what anybody else thinks? Mm-hmm. And I was like, and he was referencing it back to making the calls. Like, why are you concerned about what the guy on the other side of the phone cares? But when I heard that analogy, I was like, oh my gosh, we put so much emphasis on what every other person wants or thinks or whatever. And at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is that relationship you have with yourself and the relationship you have with those core people that are going to be there they're in your life that you care about, right? And so once I heard that probably like 10, 12 years ago, it has been a core principle of mine of like, do the right things and stuff. But at the end of the day, it has to make sense for me and for the people that I love.
I love it. There's a quote I heard years ago, but it's something like, the pursuit to be famous is basically doing everything you can to impress all these people who are what you just described, but at the expense of the people who do care the most, right? So, yeah. So good, Spring. Well, hey, thank you for doing this with me and just letting us get kind of backstage with Spring and, the real story. So I appreciate you being vulnerable and transparent with everybody. Thank you. For those listening, I hope this was inspiring for you to just, hear what you can have it all. It's not just about building the business, but build the business in such a way that's right for you to fuel the life that you want to live, right? Run your race, as she said. I love everything you shared. Spring, thank you again. Grateful for you.
Matt, I'm so grateful for you. It's fun. You're actually a big topic of conversation in my world right now, just like what a real deal, like human you are. So I'm grateful for you in a lot of ways. So
thank you. That means a lot. I hope this episode encouraged you today. Thank you for subscribing, sharing, and rating the podcast. It truly means the world to me. And be sure to visit theonelifepodcast.com to join our community. That's where you'll find updates on virtual meetups, special events, and more. And remember, God created you on purpose for a purpose. You don't have to choose between a life of significance and a thriving business. You were made for both. This is One Life.